How to clean your Smith Wesson 380 Shield EZ in 4 easy steps. So all we're going to use to clean this firearm is original gun oil. You can use any oil that you like. This is a C.L.P, cleaner, lubricant, and protectant. I use original gun oil because it doesn't smell and it's non-toxic, so you can get it on your fingers, and it's non-staining as well. We're going to use a gun brush. I'm going to use a Boresnake to clean inside the barrel or the bore. This is a Hoppes Viper Boresnake made for 9mm or 380. Some cotton rags. This is just a cut-up t-shirt, and I'm going to use my favorite dual-ended cotton swab. It's got a pointed end and a regular end for getting in all the nooks and crannies. Step 1, we're going to disassemble or field strip the M&P 380 Shield EZ. First thing we need to do is to remove the magazine, lock the slide back, check inside, make sure there's no ammo in the chamber. While the slide is locked to the rear, simply rotate the takedown lever so it looks like that. Take the slide, push it back, the slide stop releases, and allow the slide to come off the front of the frame. Turn the slide over. This is your recoil spring and guide rod assembly. Just press it toward the front of the gun, allow it to come up out of the slide, and lastly pull the barrel out, and now you have field stripped the gun for cleaning. Alright, step 2, we're going to clean each piece individually. The first thing I do is take the barrel, which is going to be the dirtiest piece, and I drip a bunch of oil down inside the barrel, but from both ends. Then I will take a cotton swab just to kind of spread that oil lightly around inside the barrel, and it's going to start loosening the dirt so we can get it out later with the Boresnake. So I'll set that aside. Next, we're going to clean the slide. So the slide is usually going to be pretty dirty as well, so we're just going to take a few drops of oil in a couple of spots, and then we're just going to spread that oil around with the brush. That's going to do most of the cleaning, and then after we do that, we're going to use a cotton rag and remove all the oil and the dirt. So this is kind of an easy way to get all the cleaner in there. One place we don't want to get oil is into the firing pin hole right here. You don't want to get oil in there. You want to clean that area, but you just don't want to drip any oil in there. Alright, so once you spread the oil all around, get one of your rags, wipe everything down as best you can with your hands and fingers. And then in order to get inside all the little nooks and crannies and slots, clean your brush up a little bit, throw a rag over top, and then use the brush to push the rag into all the little slots and nooks and crannies in there. And it does a real good job getting in there. You can use the smaller end to get in the smaller areas. As the cloths get dirty, just use some new cloths and just keep working on this until you get it pretty clean. Especially want to get in these slide cuts here, because this is where the slide moves back and forth on the frame. There's one on each side. It's a little notch that goes all the way through. You want to get that nice and clean. And once you've got it pretty clean with the cloth, just get out your cotton swabs and use that to get all the little areas that you couldn't get. And just keep working on that until you get everything nice and clean. If the outside of the slide needs some cleaning, I would just take a cloth, put a drop of oil on it, and just use that to wipe the outside of the slide, and then use the dry side to kind of finish it off and polish it up real nice. Okay, so it looks like we got the slide pretty nice and clean here. Put that aside. Alright, next we're going to clean the frame of the gun. So we're going to basically do the same thing we did on the slide. We're just going to take some oil, we're going to put it down in here a little bit, and then we're going to spread it around with the brush. Just going to use the oil to clean all the surfaces. Get all the areas that you can, any areas that look dirty in here. Especially these slide rails. Once you got the cleaner everywhere, then go ahead and wipe that off as best you can with the rag. And then, like we did before, use the brush to push the rag down into all the tight spots. Get down inside the grip here a little bit. And I like to push the rag through the grip a couple of times just to get anything in the grip that might be dirty. And once you get everything you can with the cloth and the brush, then get your cotton swabs and just go over all the areas in detail. Just get everything nice and clean. Doesn't have to be spotless. You wanted to get it pretty clean so there's no buildup anywhere. Alright, and once you've gotten all the internals pretty clean, and if the outside of the frame needs cleaning, you can wipe it down with a dry cloth, or you can put a little gun oil there if it's really dirty. Looks like we've got this pretty clean in there. Alright, and that's it for the frame. Next we want to clean the recoil spring and guide rod assembly. This doesn't really get too dirty. The only thing I would do here, unless it's super dirty, is maybe a very tiny drop of oil on the brush and kind of brush it. Just kind of get that clean with a little bit of oil on there. And then just wipe that down. That's all you really need to do on that. The magazine, this doesn't really get too dirty unless you've been on the range and you're practicing your reloads and throwing the magazines down. If you don't really get them dirty, there's no need to really take these apart. But if you drop these in the gravel or the dirt, I have a video that I'll link to up here as to how to take one of these apart and clean it up from the inside. Most of the time, you just want to wipe it down. Wipe the follower down. Wipe it down real good. You don't want to get any oil inside your magazine. That's bad to get on the rounds you might carry in there. That could degrade your rounds over time. Just using the nice easy tab here, just make sure it moves up and down nice and smooth. And that's pretty much all you need to do for the magazine. Now we're going to get to the barrel. At the beginning of step 2, we put some oil into the barrel to try and start loosening up the dirt. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the Hoppes Boresnake. This is a Hoppes Viper Boresnake. It's a little bit longer and better than the original, a little bit more material, and it's got an extra copper brush on it. This is made for 9mm or 380. As you can see, it's got copper brushes built into it. So all we really need to do is drop the front end in, pull it through. It's going to be kind of snug, which is good. The copper brushes are going to scour that, and all this material is like putting a whole bunch of patches through there. It's going to pull all the oil and dirt out, pull it through 2 or 3 times or more. It's going to do a pretty good job. If you've got a really, really dirty barrel, you put a whole ton of rounds through there. You might want to get a solvent like Hoppes gun bore cleaner and use a rod and patches and just really clean it up that way. But most of the time, this is all you're going to need to do. You can look through there. This is pretty clean. Now, after you used your bore snake to clean the inside, we definitely want to clean. This is the feed ramp. This is where the rounds get fed up into the barrel. So you want to make sure that this ramp is nice and shiny and clean. Lastly, I would wipe down the outside of the barrel. Alright, now we've cleaned all the pieces of the Smith Wesson M&P 380 Shield EZ. So now let's move on to step 3, which is lubrication. Step 3, lubricating the Shield 380 EZ. And you don't need a whole lot of lube. There's only a few places that the manual recommends that you lube. We're going to use original gun oil again. This is an excellent cleaner and lubricant and a protectant. The M&P 380 Shield EZ has only a few places shown in here that we're going to lubricate. Alright, the manual has you put 1 drop of high quality lubricant on the barrel right here and right here, and that is because the top of the barrel slides against the inside of the slide. I would smear those drops around a little bit and just dab. You don't want too much on there, but you do want a little bit on there. The next place that it calls for lubrication on the frame is going to be on these 4 rails here. This is a rail 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the rails that fit into the slide cuts inside the slide, and the slide moves back along these rails. So this is exactly where you want to put your lube, and just again a tiny drop on each one of these rails. If you get too much on there, just a little dab. And the one last place that has your lube, right here in the back of the trigger bar, just 1 small drop, and that's going to work its way in. And that's the only places that the manual calls for lubrication on this firearm. Step number 4, which is reassembly. So we're going to take the slide, hold it upside down. We're going to take the barrel this way, drop it into the slide, and it's going to sit just like that. The recoil spring and guide rod is next. This has a large side and a smaller side. The smaller side goes in the front, and the larger side gets compressed right down into that notch there. As you can see, the end of this is oval. You want the curved sides to be up and down and the flat sides to be on the side. It's very important. If it's not sitting there right, you're not going to be able to get your slide back on. Alright, so this sits just like that. Turn the slide over, pick up the frame, line up the frame and the slide like that. And that's going to slide right onto those rails in the back. Come up slowly. When you get here, be careful you don't scratch the back of your slide with this injector right here, because it does move back and forth a little. And make sure when you put this on, you're not depressing. Don't hold the gun like this. If you press this grip safety, it's going to lift this piece here, which is going to jam things up. So hold the gun this way. Carefully pull the slide over the ejector. Move it all the way back as far as it goes. Engage your slide stop like that. And now you can rotate the takedown lever back in its original position. Take the slide, press it back. That will release the slide stop, allow the slide to come back forward. And now the gun is back together. Rack the slide a few times to make sure everything feels right and to spread the oil around a little bit. And there you have it. If you put too much oil on there, you might see some start to leak out. Just kind of wipe it down. Alright, and the next thing you want to do, I'll link up here a video on how to do a safety and function check on this firearm to make sure everything is operating properly. That's a very important next thing you'll want to do after you're done cleaning your gun. Alright, so if you like this video, please hit like below. Please check out the description below for all the items that we used here in the video. Please subscribe, and thanks for watching.